Who the hell am I kidding? I don't deserve her.
So, here we are. Right in the middle, well,
Couple of silver spoons, yeah.
towards the end of this season. How's the season been for you this year?
This has been, it's always just an enormous amount of work, but each year it gets a tiny bit easier. This season, this season is a little smoother than last season. And last season was a little smoother than the one before, so it gets incrementally easier. It's still in many ways a 7-day-a-week job to get this thing done. I mean, it's a virtually impossible thing to do a primetime animated series, yet somehow there's a bunch of people that do it. It's I don't know how the Simpsons does it for as long as they've been doing it, but it's just a very, very intense process that just in many ways gets easier when you get canceled.
Now, how many characters do you do for the kids at home who don't know?
I do Peter, Stewie, and Brian, and Quagmire.
Now, if you were to say those names in the voices, would you do that?
Oh, boy. Yeah, Peter, Stewie, Brian, and Quagmire.
It's a space shuttle, Lois. I figured with an unlimited supply of free gas, I can finally afford to go into space. I got this at a NASA auction for next to nothing. They were going to scrap it because there's some minor mechanical problems or something. Instead, they sold it to me. Very simple explanation.
I'll get you for this. You screwed up worse than Jeremy Piven when he got his hair plugs. You guys are gonna love this spa. They give the best massages. Your whole bodies will feel like Joe's legs.
Quagmire, it's a buddy of mine from college came up with that name, and it was the character was based on. He kind of started as this 50s guy, this kind of anachronistic 50s guy, and I used to listen to a lot of old radio dramas from the 40s and 50s, and everybody talked real fast like this, and everybody was rushing to get all these words in, and it sounded a little bit like a subdued Quagmire, and that's kind of where the voice came from, and it kind of ballooned into this, 50s radio guy on coke, thing that became Quagmire's voice.
Well, his home is totally fitting into
that.
Yeah,
it's very...
Yeah.
Dean Martin, Rat Pack Vegas.
How long does it take for you to do an episode, start to finish, from when you start it and when we see it?
It takes, from start to finish, it takes about 9 months to sometimes longer, sometimes 10 months. It's roughly a year between the time that the story is pitched to the time it gets on the air. Mm-hmm. It takes roughly a year to do it, and it's no one has ever figured out a quicker way to do hand-drawn animation in prime time. And it's all still hand-drawn. It's colored with computers, but every single frame is still done by hand.
Cleveland, I don't know if you're a glass is half full or half empty kind of guy, but I took a Cialis about an hour ago.
You push the envelope a lot,
yes,
obviously.
Yes.
Obviously, you do. Has there ever been something that's like, oh, God, it's a little that's even for us, we can't do that?
Yeah. I mean, there's the occasional, joke about that's too racist or too, offensive to people with a particular disease, or, there's too much abortion-centric comedy that we say, probably that shouldn't go. Those are just 3 examples that come to mind. Probably that maybe shouldn't go in the show, maybe just for the DVD. But we do. There are things that we do now that we do strictly for. We do a few versions of the show. There's one for television, and then there's one for the DVD because it's a very, we're going through a bit of a dark ages as far as FCC restrictions and there's a lot we can't do now that we used to be able to do when the show started, and so to kind of fight that, we do DVD versions in which you can kind of see the show untouched.
Okay, here's one. If you were gay and you had to have sex with either John Forsythe or Sean Connery, who would it be? Yeah, it's so funny. I would also say John Forsythe. I was just curious.
You can get away with a lot more because it's an animated show. Yeah. It's the kind of allegory that I use is we did an episode where Peter and Lois get into a fist fight, and I think. Because it's a cartoon, you can get away with that. If Ray punched Deborah on Everybody Loves Raymond, it'd be maybe kind of funny the first few blows, but then it would probably get a little offensive.
Lois? I'm awake, Lois! Lois? Lois? Where the devil is everyone? The place is more deserted than James Gandolfini's workout room.
You know, it's surprising how rarely people get angry when we make fun of them. I used to hear that from people that, you know, it's hip to be dissed by The Simpsons. Like, if an actor was dissed on The Simpsons, then it was like, oh, it was kind of a cool thing. And I would like to think that maybe we've also reached that point where it's you know, people will kind of take it in good fun. There are some things we've done. I don't see how Christina Aguilera could be the faintest bit amused by what we said about her.
Do you try to stay timely? Let's rent the Paris Hilton thing today. Would you ever move into that area?
Yeah, you know, it's possible. I mean, it's tough. It's tough with things that are very, very immediate because of the fact that it does take us a year to do these things. You know, if we do, you know, we did a joke about when Ashley Simpson had the lip syncing business on Saturday Night Live. We did a joke on that, and we were, by the time it aired, we were just on the tail end of relevance because it had already many months had passed, and you know. I think that's a good thing, though, because I think it's a good thing for longevity. I think it's a good thing for reruns. If you look at All in the Family, you know, that's a show that was very, very topical and very much of its time, but it was general enough that you can watch it now and not have to know what was going on that specific week with Richard Nixon, and you can still enjoy it. And that's sort of the balance that we like to go for.
All right, guys, the best thing you can do for your body after a massage is hot coffee, alcohol, and Slim Jims.